report, the Minister of Finance announces financial reform. Patients apprehended in Abaco.
It's a Friday and the weekend is here. Good morning to all of you. I'm LaDawn Davis and this is the Morning Edition. Thank you so much for waking up with us. And joining us live here on the Morning Edition to tell us how things are shaping up weather-wise is Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean. Good morning, Basil.
Good morning, LaDawn. There's that Nest Tower cam. Sure, near clear skies over the capital, but that will all change later on today, and our satellite picture will explain it all as we go to it. We have this prefrontal trough now approaching the extreme northwest Bahamas. That will fire up some showers and thunderstorms over Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini later on this morning, eventually moving into the capital by late morning, early afternoon. But the lagging front, that will get in here on Saturday. All the details on that coming up later in the newscast, so do stay tuned. Outside of our studios, we have just a few clouds floating around. Temperature at 70 degrees, relative humidity 93%. South-southeast winds at 5 miles per hour. The barometric pressure 1,018.7 millibars. That is 30.04 inches, and it is steady. Temperatures around the islands this morning: Grand Toll Key at 72, Marsh Harbor, Abaco 74 degrees. In Freeport, 72 degrees. The Berry Island 76 also in Allenstown, Bimini, as we take you into Harbour Island, 76 in Roxanne, Eleuthera, Otterstown, Cat Island, Staniel Key, Kemps Bay, St. Andrews, also Fresh Creek in Central Andrews at 76 degrees. In San Salvador and Rum Key, 76 in Clarencetown, Long Island, Crooked Island, Ragged Island, 77, 76 in Acklands, Betsy Bay may go on to 76 as well, 78 in Matthewtown, Unagua, also the Turks and Caicos Islands at 78 degrees. And your boating forecast for today in the northwest and central islands: southeast to south winds 10 to 15 knots, wave heights 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will take place at 1:01 this afternoon, with high tide at 6:46 this evening. And in the southeast Bahamas today, a southeasterly flow at 15 to 20 knots. Rough sea conditions at 4 to 7 feet over the ocean, so small craft, you have to exercise caution in the southeast Bahamas. And that's going to do it for our first look at weather, the Morning Edition. Stay tuned. Your forecast for today and tonight is still ahead.
Thanks a lot, Basil. Meanwhile, traffic reporter Sieska Adderley is standing by with traffic cops to tell us how things are looking on our streets. Good morning, Sieska.
Good morning. This morning's traffic report, we're coming to you live from Paradise Island, and here to tell us some of the challenges that traffic police face on this part of town is Sergeant Cressida Johnson from the Police Division. Good morning, Sergeant Johnson. How are you?
A pleasant good morning to you, and a pleasant good morning, Bahamas. Well, the same issues we faced on the mainland is similar to the issues we faced here. We find that officers report many persons for failing to stop at the traffic control light during that early morning commute. This is something we want to discourage, and in addition to this, during the weekend period, once tourists are indulging in their leisure activities, we find that motorists, when it comes to those pedestrian crossings, they fail to pay attention to the pedestrian crossings, allowing these persons to cross. So going into the weekend period, we just want to advise the general public, if you have to use any of these thoroughfares, to please be mindful that there are going to be pedestrian traffic going across the street. Please be mindful. Watch these persons as they cross. Allow them to cross safely. Be your brother's keeper once again.
All right, now, Sergeant Johnson, just as a reminder, is there any difference in terms of speed limit here on Paradise Island?
Not necessarily, but we do ask persons, because we have an increased amount of persons in this area using the street, we ask them to just traverse this area with added caution.
All right, now, Sergeant Johnson, as you said, it's Friday. We're heading into the weekend. What do you want motorists to know that may be traveling both on and off Paradise Island?
Well, as it pertains to the weekend period, like I said before, they enjoy this leisure activity, and Bahamians, we have a tendency to consume alcohol. So if this is if you intend to do this, we ask you to assign a designated driver. As much as possible, do not operate a vehicle while being intoxicated. In addition to that, I just want to add that on Sunday, the Royal Bahamas Police Force will host its annual church parade, and this will cause some delay in the Wolf Road area. So if you have to traverse this area, I ask you to do so early in the morning or later on that afternoon, because we're going to be hosting that parade, and it's going to take up a lot of that time, and we're going to be traversing that area throughout the day.
All right, thank you so much. That's Sergeant Cressida Johnson from the Police Traffic Division telling us what we need to know if we're traveling about either on Paradise Island or on New Providence heading into the weekend. Back to you in the studio, LaDon.
So let's see, Eska. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Peter Turnquest, held a press conference yesterday speaking to financial sector reform, highlighting that preferential treatment of specific businesses are now a thing of the past.
All financial institutions will now be permitted to offer services to both domestic and international clients, provided that the financial institutions meets the prescribed regulatory requirements in respect to the services offered. It will remove any difference in the fiscal treatment of financial institutions that cater primarily to domestic markets and those financial institutions that cater to international clientele. This is essential to removing the preferential treatment of specific businesses as implemented under the recently passed Removal of Preferential Exemptions Act 2018.
As of January 1st, 2019, a framework for the new reform proposes that financial institutions, to include a myriad of entities, will be exempted from paying business license fees when renewing or applying for a license starting January 2020. Here's what the Minister of Finance said those exempted will have to do in lieu of the business license fees.
All financial institutions will pay a flat registration fee, which will be set on a sliding scale between $2,250 and $250,000 per annum, although small institutions like credit unions will pay a much lower fee, as is currently the case. The applicable fee will be determined primarily by the operational complexity of the institution, which aligns with the level of resources expended to regulate financial institutions based on their respective size and complexity.
A joint operation between the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Bahamas Immigration Department, and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force resulted in the apprehension of 54 Haitian nationals in the Abacos on Thursday afternoon. Some 29 migrants were apprehended aboard a conventional sailing yacht near the entrance of Manowar Key, Marsh Harbor, Abaco, around 4:30 p.m. yesterday. The 27-foot sailing vessel was anchored when authorities were alerted by local residents to Haitian nationals being ferried ashore. Investigations into that matter are ongoing. A scare for some 80 employees operating out of Bahamas Air's Windsor Field complex. Several employees were evacuated after complaints of smoke and fumes in the building. Fire officers were called to the scene. An assessment was carried out and the small smoke and fumes were extinguished. Managing Director of Bahamas Air Tracy Cooper says the smoke was a result of an electrical shortage.
The Royal Bahamas Fire Brigade came very quickly. They did an assessment of the building and also seek to isolate where the burning scent was coming from. And they quickly informed us that they believed that it was coming from the air conditioning system.
Additionally, the managing director says the situation has not impacted work at the Bahamas Air complex or services at the national airline.
Well, in instances like this, you really don't know when something like this may occur. And what we have done is we've brought in the professionals, the electrical company, AG Electrics, also along with the air conditioning company, so they carry out an assessment of the building and to carry out any repairs as needed.
Cooper says no one was hurt and employees were sent home to ensure safety precautions were taken. In a release sent by the airline this afternoon, officials say the airline is fully functional and today's flight schedule has not been impacted. And the String City violinists are in the house. We will hear their soothing sounds when the Morning Edition comes right back. Welcome back to the Morning Edition. Veteran educator Nigel Rawson has passed away at the age of 70. Mr. Rawson came to the Bahamas in August 1974 and became a part of the faculty of St. Anne's High School, where he taught commerce. After some 40 years in education, he retired from St. Anne's School in June 2014. He was known for a stinging but playful sarcasm. The Blue Waves of St. Anne's School are going to miss Mr. Rawson. May he rest in peace. Instructors at String City Violinists of the Bahamas teaches and exposes young music lovers to the beautiful world of playing the violin through creativity, self-expression, and dedication. String City joins us this morning to perform, but just before they do that, let us speak to Adelia Major. Ms. Major, welcome to the Morning Edition. Ms. Major, tell us a little bit about String City.
String City Violinists is a group that started 8 years ago. We started about 2 or 3 violinists, and now we have about 60 violinists here in the Bahamas.
And I understand that you guys are about to embark on a special trip. I guess it's significant to Juilliard Performing Arts. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, we are. We actually just came off a trip from Atlanta. We performed at the King Center, and while we were there during the summer, we got an invitation from the Juilliard School to perform there and also to receive a workshop. So that's great exposure for our violinists here in the Bahamas.
And for those of us who may want to, I guess, donate to the trip, how can we go about doing that?
Well, we have a Facebook page, String City Violinists. Also, if anyone wants to contribute in terms of writing a check, giving a donation, they can just contact me, 433-7550. And we appreciate any assistance the Bahamian public can give us.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Major. And now let's hear from the String City violinist. And what a melodious performance. Jonathan Benson has abandoned me once again and is live on location from the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort. We'll have all the action ahead in sports.
Welcome to sports, everybody. We're coming to you live from right outside the Atlantis Resort today. This is the home of the Don't Blink Home Run Derby Baseball Clinic, and we're joined by one of the organizers, Todd Isaac. And Todd, I know this is your son, Todd Jr.'s idea with Lucius Fox. Has to be a great day for you guys out here today.
Oh yeah, we're anticipating some kids to come out and take some instructions from all the pros that's here. Everybody's in now and all our Bahamian players. So it should be a fun-filled day.
I know, I think Chavez just finished up his thing in Grand Bahama yesterday. He had a 2-day clinic, so good things going on with baseball, especially our players trying to give back.
Oh yeah, they want to give back, so it's a whole island-wide thing. I mean, the guys in Freeport, they came in right after their camp, so we're trying to spread the love and the knowledge to all the kids.
How has the response been? What kind of response do you think you guys are going to have out here today?
Well, we got over 100 kids already registered. Some people probably just show up, so we're looking at some good numbers coming out today.
What all you guys going to be doing out here today?
They're going to have some stations, some running bases, throwing, hitting, just some technical work, for the guys to share the knowledge.
When Todd came up with this idea, did you think he would blossom into what's done? Like, you think it's just the second year for it?
Hey, him and Lucius had a vision, and we just tried to execute it, and it's something different, something new, and like everybody else, I was like playing baseball on the beach. Like, how could we do that? And we pulled it off.
I know you guys have a different format this year. It's a team format. They have the draft. What can everybody expect tomorrow?
A fun-filled day, a lot of excitement, a lot of home runs, and just a fun-filled day. Come out and enjoy.
I know you guys got the defending champ, Bo Bichette, coming back, so everybody's after him, right?
Oh, everybody's gunning for Bo. So, Bo, he got in last night. We talked a little bit, and he's ready. And we got some big bats coming in, so we'd see. It's going to be fun.
Let me ask you a question. Are Bahamian players, they're holding their own in minor league baseball as they try to move up to the majors?
Oh, of course. I mean, look at Josh Rattle Chisholm. I mean, he won Player of the Year in the whole Arizona Diamondbacks organization. I mean, that's big. Lucius Fox, Robbie Robinson. So, they're doing good. Todd Jr., I mean, they're doing very good. And Bahamian people should be very proud of these young men, man. They're doing very well.
And what are your expectations for some of them as this new season comes up, I guess, in just a few months?
Yeah, I know. I mean, just a few months, spring training will start, and, these guys are going to report. I know some of the guys got to report to some camps right after this. So, I think our guys are going to do well this year.
Well, we want to thank Todd for joining us out here this morning. Like we said, it starts at 9 o'clock, runs until 1 o'clock for kids ages 6 to 12, the Don't Blink Home Run Derby Baseball Clinic. And, of course, tomorrow it is the Home Run Derby, and that, of course, will be out at Montague. And that will do it for sports in the morning edition. Don't go anywhere. A final check on weather is still to come.
In our final look at weather, we have this pre-front trough, which is approaching Grand Bahama, Abaco, and the Bimini's. That will fire up some showers and thunderstorms this morning as it continues to push toward the south and east. Some of that could reach us later on today, but the frontal system itself is still pretty much in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. That, too, will continue moving toward the south and east. We'll get into the northwest Bahamas on Saturday morning, and by Saturday afternoon, pushing through the capital, and that will usher in a nice cool down as of Sunday, taking us into the early part of next week. Today, we're looking at intervals of clouds and sunshine with showers developing as that prefrontal trough gets a little closer. High temperature today getting up to 82 degrees. And tonight, we're looking at simply partly cloudy. That frontal trough should push south of us. 71 degrees will be a low temperature, and the extended weather forecast showers into Saturday morning ahead of the front, but once that front goes through, things drying out quite nicely, and an abundance of sunshine will show up heading into early next week. LaDawn?
Thanks a lot, Basil, and that does it for the morning edition. Thanks for waking up with us. Make sure to tune in at 6 p.m. for our 2-hour newscast. I'm LaDawn Davis. Have a great weekend.